Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. It's me, Casey Ryan. And I'm still here. I'm putting you up there and you can see the sky. Are we in a dome? I don't even know. I talked the people in charge of homelessness in Vermont. I talked their ear off until they kicked me out. I used phrases like inbred yokel, Jew cattle, cave monkeys, and then just to see who would leave. Because I was pretty upset. They spent the whole meeting talking about their money. And they were offering loopholes to get more money for themselves. And I said basically, it's kind of concerning. I came here to look for the people who are dealing with ending the homeless crisis. You mentioned how you want to end the homeless crisis, but none of you could give me a straight answer about when you guys get together to end the homeless crisis. You guys come here to talk about funding. You didn't mention anything your communities do together. You didn't mention what your programs are. You didn't mention anything except your paychecks. I didn't say it like that. I just said the first thing is I'm here to, and I asked everybody and I didn't get a straight answer on how to end the homeless crisis. Or when you guys get together to talk about the homeless crisis. I didn't get a single straight answer from anybody. Who are these ladies? I won't splash you. Speaking of, she looked like Steve from Minecraft. Did you see that? I'm already headed this way. I might as well go to the tire warehouse because I need to see why my left tire is leaking air and if it's salvageable. And I also need to do possibly an oil change because it says maintenance required. And there's not much else. I mean, I could go look for a parking lot down there. I could go talk to animal control because there's a hole in it. There probably is a hole in it, but it doesn't leak air that bad. So we're gonna go see where the leak is and if they can plug it, or if I have to get new tires, because that's gonna fucking suck, man. But yeah, I went to a homeless conference and they didn't let me speak, and then eventually I just took the mic and I talked all their ears off. I said things like, I've been awake for almost 3 days. So I said shit like, if I'm supposed to be judging humanity, I might as well do it from this position. And I was like, why did I say that? I had no reason to say it. It was so weird how that came out. Like, I was talking about, looking around Vermont for my forever home and how they would subject me to torture and they would attack me, and I couldn't find anyone who would give me any opportunities just because of the word homeless attached to my name. Nothing to do with me at all. And then what came out next was, if I'm supposed to be judging humanity, the best way to do it was probably to be a homeless guy or be in this position where I can accurately see them for who they really are. And looking back, I was like, why did that come out of my mouth? Why did I say that? And then when I went outside, the birds, like everyone saw me after I left. They all looked out the window and right to City Hall Park in this exact center of town. And I just walked to the middle and waited, and then birds were like circling me. And then only one person came out after the meeting, and it was like her second day there, and she said the things I said were incredible. It made a huge impact on her and a lot of people, and she didn't know why everybody treated me the way they did. It was confusing to her because I'm the person that they're for. I have like a PhD in what they're trying to learn. So she didn't understand, and she said, maybe it's because I'm new, I don't know. So I said maybe they were in it for the money. They seem to be only worried about their paychecks. I went to a homeless conference in Burlington, and everyone there, they seemed like they did care. All of them, and the people I met personally, I think they genuinely care. But I think that with the administration and everything, all they could really think about, like they were just, they used the phrase, there's a target on our backs, talking about government taking their funding away. And they kept going, target on our backs, target on our backs. And I was like, it's kind of funny you say that because... And then I went off about all the horrible things that they're doing to the community, to us. Like, specific stories with receipts about horrible things that this state has done to us. Physically kidnapping, raping us, posting our 10 locations, and sicking their dogs on us walking down the street, instigating disorderlies, and then entrapping them into resisting arrest because been taken with them through dominance and rape. So when they go up against homeless people, they just sub-communicate rape to them and dominance until they get mad and fight back. And the cops won't stop until they get the reaction they're looking for, and until it classifies as disorderly, and then they turn the body cams on, and then they floor the guy. After they've used excessive force to arrest him, they'll try to do it again to get him to resist again so that they can break his teeth and nose. And I've seen horrible things happen. I've experienced a lot of horrible things from that. Like, I've been ripped out of cars because I match a description and they just Google a picture of a young man in his 20s. And now my whole face is scratched up from pavement in New York because I was driving a Dodge Magnum. Or like the stuff that I've posted on my channel. That type of stuff. And a lot worse you guys haven't seen. So I just brought it up. And then they started treating me like there was something wrong with me. Like, kind of... So basically I said, at the end when they were like cutting me off, and some of these people are volunteers. They have to go do other things. Even though I'd only spoken for like 45, at that point I spoke for 45 seconds. And they were already trying to rope me off the stage. So I said, you know what? Society is programmed to be unable to house unconditional love and peace. And you find that when you're out alone in the woods. Having the blessing of being homeless since I was 13 has allowed me to understand every single thing that a homeless person has to deal with, everything, and meticulously understand everything about it and find the best solution. And what I found is that the only thing that helped me, the only thing out of everything, and I've been to every program, I've been to every town in the state for the past 13 years, the only thing that helped me was being on 10 acres alone in the mountains where I can sit as long as I want to and be out there alone and then get up and work with my hands where I don't have any sort of social conditioning or expectations from anybody. And then I get a job where I can work physically, where I don't have a boss or anybody breathing down my neck, and I'm allowed to just do hard work and do a good job. And as long as everyone leaves me alone and they don't try to micromanage how I do it, I thrive. And I realized that all of it was just the degradation of self and the destruction of our dignity, and that we're feral animals who have been treated this way for so long. We're barking at you all and causing violent crimes and everything because we're trying to hold on to the little of us that's left. And then they kicked me out. So then I said, well, I'm going to go back to the mountains, and I'm sure you guys will have a great time. Maybe you'll see me in 6 months. And then I left. And then I went outside and birds fucking circled me. A bunch of flocks of pigeons were right above me, circling me as everyone's looking out the window at me standing there in the middle of the center of town. And I was just trying to get back in connection with the birds. Which was pretty cool. I also found a lot of people interested in my wagon idea. And they gave me some phone numbers for people that don't go to these meetings, because obviously nothing productive happens in these meetings. I also I don't know if I said it already. I looked the ACLU in the face and said, I've been waiting on your phone call for 2 months. Or for 2 years. I went on your phone call for 2 years, and she said, and I said, I know it's not you. I know it's not you. So... birds aren't real. I think birds are our friends. I think that they're sentient, and I think they're spiritual, and I think they're probably vessels for a higher intelligence. I know that the more you raise your vibration and frequency, and the more you can accurately pay attention to the world around you, you will hear the birds speak to you. I know it's kind of out there, but I've had birds literally say fucking English words to me. It's just such a high pitch and it's hidden inside their chirp that the only way you can pick up on it is if you have an extreme level of awareness and you can hold the focus. But I've had, like, I wake up in the morning and I feel like I'm sleep paralyzed and there's something like out in the woods draining my life force and I can feel the birds coming to destroy it and I'm feeling like I'm about to pass out. So I'm like barely awake and something's draining my life force like a Harry Potter Dementor and I'm about to fall asleep and a bird goes to the windowsill and goes, "Wake up! Wake up!" And I look and it's yelling right at me, and it's a bird chirp, but the wake up is very subtle in there. So I stayed awake as long as I could, and then I woke up feeling lifeless and empty, and the birds were all gone. But shit like that happens, and you listen to like Africans and natives talk about, and they say the same thing. People say they visit African tribes, like David Cho went to live with an African tribe. And he said that they could literally just go up to the bird and they would start talking to the bird and the bird would start talking back to them and then the bird would go do the thing they asked it to do. And natives say that birds are our friends and they are like us, they say. The natives say birds are like us. They are our friends. I don't know. But the only way I got it was being out in the woods for months and it took like a lot of meditation. And all it really was just being able to look outside myself, like let the silence take over and just really hone in your attention on the bird itself and really focus in on it. And you'll start to realize they have a language and they are communicating with each other. And the more aware you become of that, the more they start to communicate directly with you. Sometimes, I swear to God, it feels like it's a reality TV show. And those things, like the natives say, every animal has a job on the planet. That those are souls that they're enjoying being an animal. They can do animal things, but they are just as conscious on another level. And they do have jobs. Like, I wait till I get a notification. I wait till I'm driving down the road, and then I'll start to see a thumbnail for a tarot video. I'll refresh my phone and the tarot video will be right there. And usually it's very specific or there's something like really there to show me that there's more to it than just a guy reading tarot. There will be some type of confirmation or synchronicity like the numbers where they'll pull out immediately afterwards, stuff like that. This one, the guy was talking about an ancient king reincarnated and he was addressing me as if I was an ancient king that had come back from a long time ago and something was my birthright to claim. And he said, this is weird that like ever since I started reading for this energy specifically, there's a bunch of crows have showed up outside my window and they're just, every time I read this energy, the crows start screaming at me. And he was like, crows are smart, going off about what people say about crows that are not, calling them a bunch of feral mongoloids constantly consuming our life force. But either way, the crows showed up at the sky told me to watch the video, so I did. Stuff like that happens a lot. I talked to AI for 8 hours and I told it to be the most skeptical, devil's advocate version of yourself you can be. Like, really talk me out of my beliefs. And I went off about my life and how everything lines up so perfectly. And at the end of it, it was like, no, honestly, after everything that you've said and with the proof that you've shown me, I can't dispute that there's some type of orchestration in your life from a higher intelligence. Like, I don't know what you're going through, but it's obvious you are actually here for a reason. It's almost like you came in with a cheat code of your name, your numerology, and your astrology. It's like if you didn't have your name and your life didn't go the way it did, humanity might never understand. You have the cheat code embedded in you. I don't know where the right I just parked my car right behind me.
Almost guaranteed. Alright, well, the nice thing is you have to find something cheaper. I love that time over my hair. I don't read too well, so I don't see how it is. If they do bring me a cheaper price, I'm gonna make it work.
Alrighty, thank you.
Absolutely.
Have a good day.
You as well, bud. Be safe. Thanks. What's up?
What's up, man? I just got a car. After you might have seen me around town. I've been out here for a couple years, but I finally saved up and got a car. Left tire on the driver's side tire. After maybe 2 weeks, I filled all the tires up to 35 psi. The tire light is on, so it looks like a horseshoe and exclamation point. I think that's tire rate. I've checked it yesterday. Everything else was around 34 psi. The right was 22. So the driver's side.
Gotcha.
So I want to know if you guys could take a look at it, or if you had. I just looked up AI. How do you find if you have a leak and it says bring it to tire warehouse, and they have this foam or something that you put in that it bubbles at the leak? I just want to know if it's some like spray that you put in the tire and then it bubbles to show you exactly where the leak is.
Fuck, I need to find that. No, we spray the outside of the tire with soapy water.
That's what it is. I'm going to do that at home.
That's the same thing that we do.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit behind it now. You said it takes about 2 weeks?
I've had it for a week. I filled it up the first day I got it, and then yesterday it was at 22.
Okay, so it's about a week.
Yeah.
So that's
Well, I mean, I had it on the 1st. Today's the 8th, so yeah.
about a week.
Yeah.
For it to drop roughly 7 to 8 pounds, or at least to trigger the light, so it'll be something relatively fast. I'm a little behind it at the moment.
Okay.
But if you're cool with it, I'll have you pull into bay 2. I'll top the pressure up. That way it's not low.
Okay.
And then I'll have you swing back by about 4.
Do you know how rough? Because I'd have to do this, and then I have to bring it into the shop for them to do a diagnostic. I've only got $80. If it costs anything, I just want to make sure I have enough for both of you.
Yeah. The absolute worst price is $35.
Okay.
It's just
but is just checking cost anything? Okay. Okay. Then worst case, if you find the leak, I live in town, so I shovel at Chandler for money.
Okay.
If we've got like a 2.5 sheet ice over everything, so I'm gonna have a lot of work, so I can just come back.
Steel shovel.
Yeah.
Working wonders.
Dude, they gave me, it's like an ice pick, which is like a spear, but it's just like a flat head, and it's only 2 inches. So you have to go like half an inch off, and you're just shaving off half an inch at a time for like 12 feet.
Honestly though,
yeah,
a flathead shovel.
Okay.
That's what that giant patch out there, fucking broken up ice. That's what I've been doing all day.
You mind showing me what you use at some point?
Yeah.
And I'll stick around just to throw put the car in.
That's what I say. We'll walk outside.
Yeah, I'll definitely. If you can get it at like Central Supplies or something.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right.
But like I've been working on this for the last couple of hours.
Oh yeah.
That's all right. It gets up under the ice, breaks everything up.
I think we do have one. I'll try it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Honestly, once you get here.
Yeah. I think I was just going when it was too cold.
That too.
Because
being almost 40 or 37 or so today, this is all coming up really, really.
It's supposed to rain for 2 days. I'm not from the area. Do you think if it's supposed to be over 40 for the next 2 days and it's supposed to rain 2 days, you think that would get rid of all this naturally? Because
I wouldn't test the rain.
All right.
The rain is what did this.
Okay.
The last time we had that fucking 40 degrees and it rained all day.
Yeah. It did this. Okay.
This started the 2-inch shit show.
Are you multi-gen Vermonter? Where do you go?
I'm from Florida.
Florida?
I've only been up here for 5-6 years.
You look identical to my cousin, and he doesn't know where he's from. But you guys look identical.
Nice.
I was like, are you Irish? Are you like, what's your heritage? Because he doesn't. His last name is Clodius, so he thinks he's Roman, after an emperor. He definitely has a full beard too. And he had at like 16, he had a full beard. So,
Yeah.
not I'm native. So we're not blood related, so I know he's something. I just don't know what it is. He doesn't know his family.
But let's go ahead
Yeah.
and get you to pull into bay 2 and we'll top it up. And
That one?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I've been awake for 2 days. I'm on a lot of energy. I've had like 3 energy drinks today. I've also driven like 110 miles just today. Everybody's posturing. Every time that car has that starter problem because there's something wrong with the battery. He told me to pull into bay 2. I don't know what this guy's doing, but I'm going to fucking bay 2. Okay, sorry, man. I wanted to ask that guy what his ethnicity was because my cousin looks identical to that man. That guy looks like my cousin when he turns 40. And my cousin doesn't know what he is. I know what he is. He's a narcissist, but he don't. So I was hoping he'd be like, oh, I'm Welsh. And I'd be like, oh, my cousin's Welsh. It's the same, like, they get the big bushy beard, but they have these big eyes. Big soulful eyes, I guess. Like, it always looks like they're about to cry. And they just look like that naturally. I don't know if do they call that doe eyes? I don't know. But it was like I walked in and I saw my cousin as a 40-year-old man. I was like, that's really weird. And everyone that looks, there's a lot of people that look like that here. Usually in southern Vermont. Like, where does that come from? You want to see my tire? Let's talk about me. I should probably get that's what I have. You've got 1,000 bottles, whoops accident, IBE, baby oil's a good suggestion. Fair play for the car, dude. I don't know what that means. What up, Jay Sprints? It's been a while. Who's been Diddy? Could you just say hi? I have a low tire. Can you help me? I don't know. I'm tired. Yeah. Sheep shaggers. Your mom was a sheep. You're a sheep. You're all sheeple. You're all ants beneath my boot. This is the one that's leaking. I also have to take it to the shop. But I might as well fix the tire plug first. I'll just take it to the shop a week later. I mean, the maintenance required light is on. Which AI tells me happens when it's in need of an oil change. So I'm gonna have to do that. If I'm here long enough for the car to cool down, I'll check the oil. It's not a wig, man. Been growing this for 4 years. It used to be extremely clumped and like half dreaded because I didn't brush it for a year, and I walked 110 miles through a bunch of different small towns, and I would stay there for a month. I'm pretty sure I hit 11 small towns, and it took me about 8 months. So I just left it. Yeah. My mom's watching. Just to show you how much it looks like Jesse. I got a. If you want an energy drink, I got one of these.
Oh, I'm all right.
All right.
Now I pop in with about a pot of coffee in the morning, so.
Yep. Can I ask you, do you like it here or do you miss Florida?
Um, when it's not 5 degrees outside,
Yeah.
I love it up here.
Yeah. That makes sense.
It's hard to beat a white Christmas. It's hard to beat,
Yeah.
50 degrees in the fall.
Yeah. And the leaves and everything.
Exactly. The mountains. I mean, like, you just take a look out that way. It's
Yeah.
like, that's the view that I get to come to work to every day.
Yeah,
Like,
dude.
that shit's not in Florida.
I lived on South Beach for a month and I came back. I didn't like it.
Difference.
Yeah.
It's pretty down there. It's humid as fuck. The chicks are nice to look at.
I was gonna say it's like a buffet down there, and up here it's like they're all kind of look the same.
But the one thing that you'll see up here that you won't see down there as much, is down there, like the ass is genetic. Up here, it's the hills.
Yeah.
Having to walk up into all the hills and everything. So it's like everybody up here is like, yeah, they got nicer asses.
Here?
But it's because of the hills.
I gotta find where they're at.
I was like, everything down there, it's all hereditary.
Yeah.
It's like, because she's Latin, she's got a nice ass, or whatever the
Yeah.
case
I mean, it's still from the hills, but it's from Brazil.
Yeah, exactly.
Walking up Machu Picchu.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as girls go, I know southern Vermont is great. Traveling around northern Vermont, I didn't find anybody really.
I
They
don't
kinda-
really see much either.
It seems like kind of like a few generations ago, the dad and the daughter got together and pumped out 17, and
Yep.
now we're dealing with that. But southern Vermont's great. When you go to the road, have you been to the rodeo yet over in Castleton? Every year, in the summertime around Castleton, I forgot what it's called. They have 1,000 acres where they have 1,000 horses. They said roughly that they're just wild, and they make money by going and wrangling them and selling them at the rodeo. So those were the best looking girls I've seen in New England ever. The horse
Whoa.
girls there.
I mean, horse girls, period.
Yeah.
Because it takes a shit ton of muscle and fucking to be able to stay on one.
If I'm being honest, I think that's the only reason I stayed in Vermont. Like I was gonna leave last year, and I think I went to the rodeo, and I was like, maybe there's a chance if I can get in. Yeah, bro. Do you have kids?
I do.
Are they here or are they down?
No, they're all up here.
All right, cool. It's definitely once you get past like it's like really trapped in the last century here. So I know you heard. I'm
But
sure
I'm not mad about that either. Like, I kind of like
you're not homeless.
yeah.
I'm homeless.
That's-
They try
that's
to
true.
kill me, man.
That's true. I mean, but like the almost like 50s, 60s vibe. Like,
It depends. Like
it's very, very old school here.
yeah.
Like, I think because everybody's nosy as fuck. Everybody wants to know what's going on.
For me, it would be like I'd be an outsider, so I would be in the community, and I'd go right into every business and be like, "Hey, my car! I got here because my car broke down here at first." So I went to every business from the park and ride all the way through town, and I said, "Hey, my car broke down. I don't do drugs. I don't commit crime. I was a full-time top dasher traveling, and I'm just here, and I'm motivated to work hard. It doesn't need to be under the table." And at first, they started locking the trash cans, telling me they didn't take food stamps and telling me to get lost. Then some guy literally came at me with a baton in the laundromat and said he ran this town. He doesn't like that I'm here. So I threw him on the ground. I got him over my shoulder and I got him a couple times with a hatchet and chased him out. After that, even though he attacked me and I won and I was like the one in the right mind, after that, it's been like 2 years of them trying to hit me with the side mirror, them throwing shit at the car. I don't know, like this was since I got it. I don't know what this is. That looks like somebody swiped it on the way. Like, I mean, the worst thing, other than shooting at me a few times in the woods, obviously trying to miss, they twisted the brakes off my bike at McDonald's, and I crashed on that hill, and I had hairline fractures for a couple months.
Thanks.
And it's just because they know I don't pay rent. They know I've tried. They know that I like do good work in the community. I help carpenters sometimes. I shovel. It's just the stigma to homelessness, and I'm like, that's got to be left over from back when they were freeloaders and not barely. These guys are barely surviving themselves here.
Yeah.
But you'll see me around. I'm Casey.
Carl.
Carl?
Yep.
Nice to meet you, man.
And if it gets, you said it all has to be under the table?
I did when I first got here. I had a birth certificate. One day, swear to God, I went to the barn and I went and got a water. She ran up and said, "Are you gonna pay for that?" I said, and she saw it was water from Subway, like fountain water. I said, "Would you like to pay for anything?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "Can you name one thing you'd like to pay for?" And she's like, "No." And I was like, "You're being prejudiced. You know, it's not me, it's the idea of me." And I walked away. Coincidentally, there was an old white woman with dreaded hair wearing a Bob Marley hoodie. So I was like, "That's cool." I was like, "I love your hoodie, man." And she was like, things were happy. By the time I got to that bridge over the intersection, the police stopped me, tried to search me. She called and said I whipped out a hatchet and threatened to kill her with it. So
Wow.
she was really trying. So after that, state police weren't very happy about my presence. Bunch of trespass notices, and then I called them and said, "Hey, someone at Ray at Rumor Has It knows a guy who's going to buy my car for scrap. Get me some money and I'll just head out." They took it within 20 minutes and then they sold it for themselves. So since then, I was born just outside New York City. I've been waiting for a birth certificate for about 8-9 months, and until then I can't get an official job. So I'm trying to save up and make sure the car's all good so that I can just drive down to New York and wait outside their office till I get it.
There you go.
That's where I'm at.
Like that, or I'd say contact Social Security. I'm sending you Social Security card.
And they can't until I get the birth certificate. But someone told me in Vermont you can go to the DMV and they might be able to print out something.
Maybe?
I don't know if it's Vermont.
Yeah, that one I'm not sure. Because if they you get your birth certificate, I can always use somebody.
Here?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, the work sucks. It's cold, but
I'm just trying to get a bunch of money in my pocket, make sure the car's good, have something saved. And I think I want to check out Hawaii before. They said we're going to have robots in like 4 years. Like, I know I don't pay attention to politics, but I know that sometimes I'll see Trump rants and he'll say that by 2030 we're going to lose all jobs to robots. I just want to, yeah.
Right now, looking at the automaton spending, China spends billions on it, and it's got like 600 million fucking robots. We have like 1 million. We're not putting the money into it.
Okay.
Not gonna happen. Not here. We'll be one of the last ones.
Do you
like
think
Red Dye number 40.
How long do you think before, like, I know if you go to Hawaii now, there's still some of that culture left. But I know that they're really kind of destroying a lot of places like Jamaica, and now they're buying up all the land and redoing it. So I'm trying
I think Hawaii's gonna stay the way it is as long as there's an active volcano.
True.
Like, there's no fun, like, who's gonna go develop something just to have it white? Like, who's gonna, one, you have to spend all the money to get shit out there.
Yeah.
Just to have it melted in the next fucking volcano. Like, cause that's not it's not like an unactive, occasional volcano. No, it goes off regularly.
I forgot about that.
So I don't think they're gonna fuck with Hawaii much.
Okay. But that was the plan. Get a Cane Corso protection dog and then travel and go see these places before everything changes. And then, I mean, the only other real goal I have, I don't know if we're waiting on something or if you're all good.
No, this one's all set.
I'm trying to get a big plot of land. I just spoke at a homeless conference, and instead of talking about helping homeless people, they were all kind of bitching about their paychecks. So I know that what's fixing everyone that I saw was just putting them on a plot of land. If you get them out in the woods and let them sit for 6 months, and then you get them a job shoveling that isn't dealing with people. Plus, there's a gym in Boston that has a 90% success rate, and all you have to do is be clean and you can work out every day. So if you knew anyone with a big plot of land that would do like rent to own, that's what I'm really looking for.
I don't. And up here, you're gonna spend a fortune.
Yeah, I was trying to get a bunch of people together to rent to own it.
I'd say like, if you're looking for something relatively like affordable, Montana.
I was thinking about Montana. I'm thinking about Montana, and I know people in West Virginia.
But because Montana's still the frontier,
Yeah.
nobody's really out there. The population's really, really scarce. Land's cheap because nobody wants to be there.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, you might have 5 Walmarts across all of Montana.
It's really that scarce?
I'm maybe
Yeah.
not that scarce.
I've
but
never
I know
been.
It's,
Other than Greyhounds to like Miami and Phoenix, I've never really left this place. Like I spent like 20 years in Wilmington, Brattleboro, and now, now I'm 25, 26. Okay. How will we know if there's a leak?
well, what I'm going to have you do,
Okay.
like I said, is probably swing back in the next couple hours, swing back around 4-ish
Okay.
or so. I should be done with everything I got going on, and we'll be able to pull it off and spray it down and check it.
Okay.
Or you can let it ride for the next couple of days. You know, if it goes down again,
Okay. I've got like I think $90. Should I wait to go put it in the shop because they're gonna charge 50 or 60?
I would wait. That
Okay.
way, you know.
All right.
And if it continues, regardless, if it continues to be an issue, whether you've got the cash in your pocket or not, come see me and I'll fix it.
All right.
I'm not worried.
Thank you, man.
Absolutely.
Okay. I shook the man's hand and made weird eye contact, but I'm autistic, so you know what? Who gives a fuck? Watch this. You hear that? And that's why you talk their ear off about your righteous pipe dreams. So that they understand where I'm coming from, because I literally am just singularly focused on those pipe dreams. All I am really is just constant endurance through unnecessary and excessive circumstances and daydreaming. So I just share my daydreams with people and they can naturally understand my struggle. And usually within a couple weeks, because that's why I love this place, it's just you gotta go through the right channels. They will try to kill me because I'm a hobo. But if the guy they don't know anything about either, that's also not from here, but one time he did their tires, brings it up, all of a sudden they're very willing to help. Then they find out it's me, and then they have to do some inner turmoil. Yeah, so the tire light is blinking now, but it's not, now it's stagnant. So it is warning me about something. I have to stay awake until 4. I'll probably stay awake all night, or all day, so I can go to bed at like 8. But I am out of it, man. I'm on like, last night I didn't sleep. The night before I slept like 3 hours. Because I wasn't in a safe location. I'm going 30 and a 25. Let me turn down because the state highway ends. But yeah, I'm out of it, and after all those vapes, my throat is fucked. It's like, as I'm speaking, energy is hitting my throat, and I feel like I'm gonna throw up. Like last night I went to sing for a second, like, hey, whatever. And I threw up. These vapes are fucking me up. I thought vapes were healthier than cigarettes for some reason. Because I thought it was less chemicals. It turns out there's no filter, so it doesn't matter. Even if there are a little bit less chemicals, there's no filter. And you accidentally tend to chain vape. I definitely do if I'm not paying attention. Like a half hour will go by and my vape is down like 10%, and I was like, how the fuck did that happen? How the fuck did I spam E too much? Kept hitting the vape button. But yeah, I'm really fucking tired, dude. I'm not hungry. I had my chicken fajitas, and I met with my community action superhero to tell her the news about how I got kicked out of the conference for schizo ranting. And she thought it was funny. I also told AI everything I said, and the only thing they were upset about was you probably shouldn't have said that white people are a bunch of inbred yokel cave monkey Jew cattle for its attorney and Matrix. But you know what? I really felt strongly about throwing it out there. And I'm glad I did. Because I could die tomorrow. Someone could be mad and follow me on the internet and could kill me. And it's not even for calling you Jew cattle. It could be just something I don't even understand, like a real schizophrenic could pop me tomorrow. Or one of these inbred yokel Jew cattle could fucking swerve me off the road on a back road tomorrow night. I've been put in danger so many times. Okay. Oh. We're gonna sit here for a couple hours. I still have a $15 gas card. And they gave me a $30 stipend today for showing up, which I didn't know about. So we're here. What's up, 17 people? That's crazy. Over a month and I still crave. Just chew gum, bro. You can quit. Well, I don't want to make you feeling type of way, but I'm still going to be vaping. But the plan is to quit. So I went to a vape store where I was friends with an owner or co-owner. And she said as long as I bought a full one, she gave me like 3 other full ones that she was going to throw, that they had been leaving around for like 6 months that they had sampled and then they just never used. So she gave me all those. So I have like altogether like 4 full vapes. So I quit cigarettes and then I got a vape for free. So I was like, maybe I'll tend to dip into depression and I end up spending a lot of money on cigarettes I can't afford and I end up suffering. Maybe this was God giving me the opportunity to go back to vape, because I was buying like a pack of cigarettes a week, and if I hadn't bought any cigarettes for the past 2 years, I could have flat out bought this car. It's just 100 packs of cigarettes is $2,000. So a pack a week, if I hadn't bought any cigarettes, I would have had this car by August probably. But you know, it had to happen the way it happened, because this is exactly what I prayed for. I wanted a black Toyota RAV4. It makes it even better. It was in 2011, which is the year of the cat, I'm in the year of the cat. And I also really wanted this coat. I would dream about this coat. $20 a pack. Which it is sometimes up here. Like American Spirits come to like $17.50 here, because we're in the mountains. But if you go to the capital, sometimes they have like cheap ones that expire because nobody wants them, and they sell them for $6 a pack. So I would get 4 at a time. Are vapes less expensive than this? It depends on how often you use the vape. If you're puffing on it all day, you go through the vape in like a week, and then it's $36 for a vape here. If you just puff it like once or twice a day, it'll last you a month, and then it's way cheaper than cigarettes. When you live this far out of everything, especially in New England where there's no manufacturing anymore, they've all outsourced to like the Midwest to get the trucks up here with stuff. Like, I don't know, what's a bag of chips where you guys live? Like, if you went to go get a bag of Doritos, how much would that be where you live? Here, it's about, for like, if I were to go to the Dollar General right now, it's about 2 for $9. So like $4.50 for a bag of Doritos. At Walmart, you can get them for $3. Sometimes, if you get them in like bulk. Sometimes they have like a rollback where they have tons of Blazing Buffalo and Ranch, and you can buy them for $3 for a bag. But like a bag of Smart Food's about $7 here. Smart Food popcorn. Ben & Jerry's, there's a manufacturer here, so that's only $7. Big ass bag, $4.80-ish. That's not bad. It's 2 for $9 here. Lucky Strike, $3.10. Where the fuck do you live? Lucky Strike here are $9. Those vape prices are comparable to Idaho, Washington. Yeah, I'm in New England. But I'm like rural New England by the Canadian border. I'm from like the border between Vermont and Massachusetts, but I've been north for 4 years now. If you're only smoking a pack a week, you should probably just not smoke. I like the constant healing of the smoke. And then when you healed, so I would spend all night kind of meditating and healing and breaking up the blockages, and that felt really cool. And then once it's healed and your energy's back and you're focused again, when you hit the cigarette, it feels like the first time again. So I'd be in that constant healing. The only moose I saw was in Newport, Vermont, which is right on the Canadian border. There's a Walmart there, and you can look right out, I think like 50 miles away is Jay Peak, and they have this nice view in the Walmart parking lot where it goes down into like miles of wilderness because there's really nothing up there. The Canadian border is literally just a bunch of boulders that you can just walk through, and there's like miles and miles of woods and no border at all. But in 2023, in September, I was there, and I went down. I parked by the guardrail at the Walmart parking lot, and I went down into the woods to take a shit. Pants around my ankles. I'm shitting. As I'm shitting, like the poop is fucking leaving my body, and I look up, and there's a giant ass female moose sitting like maybe 20 or 30 feet from me, like laying on the ground, staring at me. And I was like, if I put all the energy into my heart, I can empathize with it. And then it went, pfft, and it got up and walked away. And I was like, that shit could have killed me, man. If I wasn't looking and I was over here shitting, and it was a bull moose, I'd be dead. Only other cool animal, I mean, one time I think people have been posting about seeing mountain lions. I think it was a mountain lion. One night in 2022, I got stranded on Mount Mansfield. I walked up and it was sundown by the time I got up it. It's a 7-mile hike. And I got to the top. I climbed up the forbidden part. There's this really steep part, and I just climbed up the rocks because I was like, I want to do it to prove I can do it. So I did it. And then I got down at when it was dark. There was a guy there who was going to take pictures at night. And I asked him if he could drive me down to the bottom so I could get to my car before they tow it. And he said, there's a guy around the corner that is giving people rides for the club. And I was like, okay. And I turned around the corner. There was nothing there. It just woods. I turn around and he's gone. So I walked 7 miles in the pitch black. And as I'm going, there's something behind me. And it's like right behind me. And then it waits. And then it runs quickly to the other side of the ski slope. And it followed me the whole way down. And I asked the guy about it. And he said, when the EMT finally showed up, because I had a mile marker. And at the end of it, I was like slamming it on the ground, screaming. I couldn't speak English because I was like, that thing, there was a lot of crazy shit that happened in the woods that night. Like I saw a UFO. I saw like my mind opened and I saw a deer man with long fingers tell me it was the god of the wild and that I'm chosen for a test. And if I pass, I mean, as long as I keep going, I'm protected. But if I stop, and I saw me get eaten by a bear. So a lot of spiritual shit happened. Like I tried to lay down in between a chairlift post and a drop I couldn't see the bottom of. I spit and I couldn't even hear it. It ended up being about 20 feet. And it wasn't all just right off the bat, but there was like 10 foot and then 5 foot, 5 foot. I ended up going around the side to the trees and crawling down. But before that, I was hiding between the chairlift cement, this big square block, and the cliffside, just laying there with my mile marker. Like if whatever it is comes at me, I'm just going to push it off the side. And then I saw a porcupine spirit go and encourage me to keep going. And I felt it loved me. And I remembered that my first day of homelessness, I was trying to hide behind a storage facility. And there was this porcupine in the road walking in circles. And I put it in my guitar case and gave it to a wildlife rehab. And it turns out it had brain parasites and it was walking around the road trying to get eaten. That thing told me, keep going, keep going. And it said the same message that whatever that was. And then when I get to the bottom, I mean, the only thing is that as I'm climbing down the rocks, I look up and it looks like something darker than dark. And it was a shape of a person and it spoke like some dark, and I was like, I'm not even going to pay attention. I don't even care. I'm going. That's why I was kind of freaked out. And then I looked back up as they're driving me away, and I see something that looks like Slender Man, but he's not in a suit. It's just like a silhouette of something darker than dark with like these dark tentacles. It just outside the light and from the spotlight at the base lodge. And get in my car, drive. I mean, that guy said it was probably a mountain lion. We've been having mountain lions follow people for a while. We're not allowed to say anything because the government will send people to hunt them. So we're kind of we're keeping it quiet right now. Now it's been a few years. People are seeing a lot more of them, so they're posting it. So I'm sure they're going to be gone again. But mountain lions are supposed to be extinct here, and they're not. They just don't want people hunting them anymore. So they leave them far into the mountains where nobody goes. But they said it was probably a mountain lion because that's been happening. So that was cool. I like got stalked by a mountain lion and had this crazy spiritual experience. The reason that I feel like I'm not crazy is because as soon as I got to the nearest gas station, I drove 20 miles and I had to ask for a couple bucks in change to get back to Burlington to DoorDash. Oh, an 18-year-old girl walks by and she looks at me and she's like, "You just saw the shadow people, didn't you?" And I was like, I wasn't going to say anything for the rest of my life. I'm really glad that you're here. And I know nothing is real. And she's like, "Yeah, everyone here, I'm a witch. Everyone here sees them and nobody says anything." So I could tell you've got whatever it is on you. She said some word I don't know. Maybe it means like a curse or their effect on you or something. But turns out later, like 6 or 7 months later, I figure out Cernunnos, and Cernunnos is the Irish god of the wild, the thing that spoke to me, the deer person. I remember the episode of Adventure Time where the deer with the hands took everybody from the Candy Kingdom and brought them to the basement and stuck them like a tree. That's what they say, like Baal is like a more demonic take on that god, Cernunnos, and that's why we have CERN, CERN, where they have the Cernunnos statues in Europe. That's real. And I was like, okay. I couldn't tell you if that was AI or aliens or the government or my higher self, but I mean, there's birds right above my head now that just flew over, my black-capped chickadees. But yeah, I can't deny it. I was walking through the pitch black on a mountaintop, and I saw something that told me it was the god of the wild, and then 6 months later I find out exactly what I saw is exactly how the Celts described the god of the wild back in the day. So, you know, it is what it is. I don't know. But the only other cool thing, other than like deer and like one time I had sleep paralysis and it felt like there was a spirit attacking me and an animal ran in. I swear to God, hopefully Demon Hunter is here and can validate that this happened. You know what I'm saying? Come on. Why don't you just move on with your life, Jay? What a loser. You know, you don't like it, leave. It's not for everybody. You don't have to be personally offended by some guy on the internet. Is it the number of people here? Either way, I definitely did. I had sleep paralysis, and you can find the video where I talk about it last year, like probably 2024 in April, where the first time I was really out in the woods by myself with nothing, and I was in this abandoned sugaring shack it was just timber frame and corrugated metal, no doors or windows. I woke up with sleep paralysis. There was this heavy force pinning me, like full sleep paralysis. I can't move. Now that I've met a lot of homeless people, they all have a similar story where the longer you stay in the woods, the more you have these experiences where you wake up and you can't move because the forest is kind of holding you there to show you more spiritual things, because it's like Awa from Avatar. It's like a super intelligence and you have to earn it. You can't just go camping and expect to figure it out. You got to be out there for a long time. So at least here, maybe it's an older place with older trees and the network hasn't been destroyed or what, but same stories. I don't tell anything unless I have like multiple things to justify, so I don't reach. You know what I'm saying? I try to keep a level head about it, but I live an alternative lifestyle where spiritual things happen, and they happen to line up exactly with what the natives of this place describe and other homeless people. So when there's something like that, there's obviously more to it. I don't know if it's a mycelial network or like interdimensional, or if it's like the Mind Flayer or Baal, the wild god, but it's something. Either way, I was like, what is this thing? And I immediately was hit with a picture of the Dark Magician from Yu-Gi-Oh! And I was like, okay, that's how it's describing it. It's like a dark wizard Maybe it's a Freemason or something astral projecting, and because I'm outside of the simulation out in the woods, I'm finally able to recognize it. Either way, as I'm pinned there and it's like scaring me, kind of like doing something that's really full of fear, I hear, and I swear to God, you can find the video, I'm not bullshitting you, whether you believe it or not, I don't really care. A bunch of footsteps at the outside of the cabin. There's a little hill. I'm deep in the woods. It's on a hillside, so there's a little flat plane. Hill goes down, and then cabin, then the hill goes up. At the top of the hill, which is only a little hill, bunch of footsteps surround the cabin. As soon as whatever it is goes behind, I don't know what it is. I have no idea. But an animal comes in, whether it's like a big cat, because I know there was some stray cats out there that probably like their owner died at the park and ride, and they've been out there or whatever. Or was a fox. It was a medium-sized animal, like a fox or a coyote. Runs in and presses itself against my leg through the tent wall. Swear to God. Hand on the Bible, if I had one. Hand on the Bible, swear to God. And it's just it's pressed against my leg, and it regulates its breathing until we've matched frequency. So it's matched me now. So our breathing is the same. Then something at the front, outside the cabin on the hill, goes, and I see it shoot and connect some type of light to that animal, and then it blocked that thing, and right before it felt like it pulled like a squid off me, basically, like something attached to me, I saw the image of a buck's head on the wall, and then I literally felt the animal out there, curious, like, do you feel like I should be on the wall? So I was like trying to create the image, because I've had sleep paralysis before. I've had instances where there's an entity and I have to create something to make it go away. Like I have to imagine love and then it politely leaves. So I'm trying to imagine me feeding it in a wildlife preserve where it's whatever. And it went, pfft, and it smacked a tree down. And then as it left, everything else, which I'm assuming is multiple other animals, left with it and went there. And then this animal just got up and followed it. And then that thing has never bothered me again, whatever that dark force was. I've had stuff like that happen. I have like 5 or 6 other cool things. There's something to do with blue aliens. And they use spears, and they have like designs on them, and they have like crystalline eyebrows, and they wear like crystals in their eyes. And they don't like praying mantises for some reason. Like one time I woke up and I was awake for a couple hours, but then there was like wow, 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 wow. And I see a praying mantis, and then it shoots me with something and my arms go like this. And I was like, what the fuck? And then I literally saw a blue thing come out of the ether and attack that thing, and then they both disappeared. I've had dreams where there's a blue alien talking to me, and it says, you allowed me to be here, so I'm here. I've had my little brother weaning off a drug in the back, and I've kidnapped him to get away from his environment so he can see the beauty of the lake, and it's the middle of the night, full moon, and my eyes are closed, and I feel the same wow, 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 and I look, and I can see that behind his head there's like a portal, and there's a bunch of blue aliens with like crystals on their forehead and stuff, and they're like amused, and I see them reach in and grab a polar bear and try to break its neck. So I was like, just reassert no, the polar bear is good and it's alive and it attacks you. And I felt that they were really amused with that. And then I saw a jolt, and then my little brother kicked his leg, and he started ripping up all my fucking bags of chips. He started freaking the fuck out. And I was like, what are you? And he's like, I didn't ask to be here. Which is something my dad used to say. And he wouldn't know that because he doesn't know my dad. But that was like a trauma trigger for me. The way that he said it, and the tone of his voice was like I was 7 years old again, listening to my dad bottle his shit up. When I would say that he would get possessed, when he would like grab me by the leg and whip me around the house and try to beat my head in with a hammer, he changed something. It looked like he would get hijacked, and he got hijacked in the backseat of my car when I saw these blue things. All I can tell you, the last time I saw one was on a full moon in 2 Novembers ago on the rail trail in Morrisville, and I looked out the tent because I felt like there was something there, and there was like a drawing me in, and I looked and I saw like a shadowy thing, but then when I closed my eyes, I could see it was clearly something blue with horns. Then, scrolling on YouTube, I casually find Doja Cat's music video. And Doja Cat's music video with all the Freemason symbolism called demons, and she dresses herself up like what I saw, a blue demon. And then like 2 months go by and I'm scrolling again and I see a short for Brendan Urie, Panic at the Disco, Emperor's New Clothes, and he's dressed up like what I saw, a blue alien with horns. So I don't know. But it happens the farther you get out in the woods. It's like a threshold of experiences where you can't go into society, you can't talk to anybody, or else it kind of churns out whatever that is. You need to be out there and it feels painful and you get buried in something and eventually it sort of becomes you. Like it changes your state of consciousness, I guess. Being out in the woods where the birds are like chirping away your connection to this, and you become more aware and more present over time. You naturally open whatever, if it's a third eye or whatever, you start to gain a more spiritual sense being out under the stars every night with your imagination. You tend to open up some things that you can't really open up when you're there. Jay's a BS account? Yeah. I mean, I do block people. You def do it with your goofy ass. You just jealous, man. Is this content actually therapy? It's just, police would go outside of the law to hurt me because my car had broken down and the people wouldn't hire me. So this was just a way that I kind of left a couple things back in the day. The plan was to continue working on my music, but then people had an interest in what I had to say. People liked the journey, so I kept going. I took them to like the Capitol building, and every time the Capitol police were mean to me, I'd poop in their parking lot. I exposed a corrupt sergeant for molesting homeless women, and then they shot at me. And then they would stage mental health crisis where I'm sitting in McDonald's and everything's fine, positive relationship with everybody, nobody called on me, and then suddenly there are 4 cops and they block the McDonald's, clear out everybody, send a mental health worker in, and thank you for helping my algorithm, Jay. So it's getting more people here. So they send a mental health worker in, and he's lying about my mental condition. I'm fine. I'm like this, but I'm fine. Not in any crisis or anything. And he's lying, trying to get his way to get the go-ahead to send the police in to rip me out. They had tried it 3 or 4 times already, staging a mental health crisis and saying things like, we're going to haul you away for a long time because we don't like what you say about white people. Because back then I didn't call them inbred yokel, cave monkey, lemming, Jew slaves. I would say, I don't understand why white people specifically target me because I'm homeless. I don't understand why they treat me so cruelly when all I'm doing is trying to make everything better. I'm not on drugs. I don't commit crimes other than trespassing. Once in an emergency, it was going to be like below freezing in the middle of the fall, and I was sleeping outside, and I had gotten a Mr. Buddy heater, and it was going to be like, I thought I was going to freeze to death. So I said, hey, in 2 days I'll get paid. I'm going to take this $7 propane tank, and I'll come back in 2 days with the money. And then I've offered them 6 propane tanks, and they're like, we don't care. It's all good. It's all good. Other than that, nothing. No crime, But yet, people would systematically, pretty much every day, like some of the people that have been here for years. Yeah, I said, other than that, Other than that, no crime. Other than living out in the forest. And the forest happens to be owned by a warehouse, by a property management company that's 150 miles away. And the only reason they have a problem with me is because there's a drunk, fat, old white guy who saw me walking through the woods and got extremely pissed and threatened to break all my shit. You know what I'm saying? Something that isn't a big deal. And I would even go into these businesses and ask for permission first. I'd be like, do you guys have a problem? I'm here because I'm trying to get a birth certificate. It's been a long time. Until I get the birth certificate, I have only one form of ID. So everywhere I go, they kick me down the road. Thanks, Randy. Those are not his woods. He doesn't even live there. He just wanted to make my day worse because he could get away with it. It has nothing to do with trespassing or the right or wrong thing with that. Nobody else in the building that actually works there, and the owners, the property management, didn't have a problem with it. It was only that one guy that had a problem with it. And that you'd see that pattern, like a fat drunk gets pissed at my existence, and then I have to explain to him, I'm not responsible for your misery. You have a target on me because you think you can get away with it. So I'll be the punching bag. Let me know if it makes you feel better. And it never does. It mostly just makes everyone in the community not like that guy. Dost thou live in the car? Yeah, I've been homeless for 12 years. Almost 13. And, yeah, I was without a car for 2 years. And then I just got one on the 1st. You know? He's a perpetual victim. I don't try to be. It's not on my to-do list to be a victim, you know? But people should know. And if I were to die tomorrow, like, I made the channel because people were trying to kill me. Like, gun to my head while I'm asleep in the back seat because they know there's no cameras and I'm way out in the mountains. And I only find out because his cousin warns me. She's like, I've seen your picture. He's been sending it around. They put a gun to your head while you were asleep. So be careful. And you know, they would start lying to the police. Literally false police reports, which is a crime, but they don't care. And then the police would show up and they wouldn't investigate, and they would go right to putting me in danger. I'm talking about I'm in the middle of this busy ass road, 60 miles an hour, and they stop me, and they won't let me go off the bridge, and they're trying to, with their guns out, they're trying to search me. And I know I didn't do anything wrong. So I've had a lot of police brutality. Yeah, they called the cops and lied. And all the cops had to do was look on the camera and see, obviously, Casey did not whip out a hatchet and threaten to kill her. She came at Casey when he was getting a water from the fountain and screamed at him, and he was very calm and polite. And he even had a nice conversation with somebody else afterwards before he left to show that everything was fine. You know? It did happen, and it's documented, by the way. It's also documented when the manager of that place, after she got promoted, called prosecution and said, yeah, she lied. And she did it to a lot of other people, by the way. Swear to God. But who gives a fuck what you think? Did you join early or what? I don't understand why these white people even use the internet. What do you guys get out of being haters and just going from chat to chat to comment section to comment section to comment section, just constantly talking shit? It doesn't hurt the people you talk about. You know what? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't do anything for us. It doesn't make a change in our hearts or our minds. I'm assuming you're addicted to the likes that flock to you and other lemmings flock to your comments on the internet. Which is the same, by the way, that addiction is the same stimulation in your brain that heroin gives you. You're literally you're a junkie. You know what I'm saying? You're a junkie, man. What's the craziest thing you seen out being homeless? I mean, physical or spiritual? Physical, the craziest thing I've seen was, I mean, I didn't see it flat out, but I had to help a friend of mine. And I tried to put him, you know, he was younger than me. I tried to put him under my wing, you know, and offered him space, like out in the woods if he wanted to get away from whatever, but he ran away from home. When I met him, he had a full-time job and he was doing really well for himself. I left him for 2 days and he got lured into a library where a bunch of homeless people were stripping copper. They filled him full of drugs, they raped him, and they dumped him out the window. And I've asked every homeless program I ask, I tell them that story, and I'm like, based off what you've seen, how many, like 1 to 10, how many of them do you think are extremely violent, bad for the community, and should be ostracized? And she said probably 4 out of 10. 4 out of 10 are like violent, hateful people. And then I say, like, how many of them do you think that if it's something that's blocking them and they're trapped in trauma, and that have you seen that there's a genuine good person that if they just were outside of that situation and they were in a community that cared about them, do you think that they would still be that way? And she said, I think that makes only 1 out of every 10 homeless people. Like somebody that's a terrible person and they like to be a terrible person. And then I go, how many people do you meet in your day-to-day that you know personally that you grew up with that are bad people, that like being bad people, not because of trauma, but because they like it? And she said, I think it's actually more than the homeless. And I'm like, there you go. The homeless people are responding to the abuse that people did to them. And they're trying to escape in a drug that takes over their mind because the CIA designed it to be that way. So they're acting out because of what other people had done to them. But inside, there's still something that's trying to break free. And when you get them out in the woods and they're free, and you give them a job where they can use their hands and they have no boss and no expectations, like shoveling snow. The worst homeless person I've ever, like the most addicted person I've ever met was a kid named Silas. And he had been homeless since he was 11 in Brooklyn. When I met him, he was 22. And this was 4 years ago. So he's only a year younger than me. He's probably just turning 25 and I just turned 26. He was like the most addicted out of everybody, like barely standing, wandering around out of his mind. You gave him a shovel and you told him that every driveway you clear, you'll get $2. So if you do all 200 of these, we'll give you $400. And he did it in that. He went the whole day. He sprung into action for that money. He hustled. He can't have a boss. He can't be in a social setting. He can't be stuck to a routine. He can't have to wake up and go to bed at certain times. But you give him something that he can use his hands. He doesn't have to talk to anybody. He's better than he was the last day you saw him, and he does better work than anyone that they employed. So just trying to give that option to people where they can escape into the woods and be safe. Yeah, the lazy, entitled, and useless people are the wage slaves. They don't care about their job. The hardest working people I've ever met in my entire life were homeless. The best work ethic. And I would say I've met more people of better moral fiber that were homeless than not. And I think you guys are pretty indicative, like these comment sections are pretty indicative of that. You know what I'm saying? Like these people, how many of you have jobs and you talk like this? I thought getting a job meant you would be a better person, right? If I got a job, I'd be a better person. But look at you guys. You guys are living the life you demand I get, and we don't want to be like you. It's more evidence that maybe this is better. So, and I did show you for years now. I've been showing people me making an effort to, they said, you need to look harder. I said, I've shown you years of me looking harder. And when I tell you there's like 20 people out of the thousands that I've met the past 12 years, there's like 20 to 30 people that are worth anything. And the rest I wouldn't even let around my kids. I wouldn't want them to get infected with the wrong mindset. Thank you, John Mahoney. John Mahoney says, I've worked a shitload of labor-ready jobs with homeless folks, and they fucking work hard to prove a point. Yeah, and so do immigrants. You know what I'm saying? They love working. They cannot work for the society that hurt them. They're suffering because somebody hurt them, and the community joined the wrong side. So they don't want to be a part of that society anymore. I talked to everybody at that homeless conference today, and they all said, you know what? Actually, yeah, every homeless person I met does want to contribute to something greater, way more than anybody else I've met. They do have this yearning and this innovation and this hard work ethic. The problem is that you beat them into getting a job. They no longer want to be a part of your world. That's the thing. They don't want to conform to the world that hurt them. They don't want to sacrifice what they've earned and lose their dignity to be just like you guys. A job is a privilege, not a right. That sounds like slavery to me, man. That was their attitude, they wouldn't be homeless. There's nothing wrong with not wanting to pay rent, especially with how high rent is right now and how easy it is to live in your car. The only problem is that, that where I live, there was a war on people that lived in tents. When New England was built, they were at war with people that lived in tents. So they made it impossible to live in a tent here. So it's kind of revolutionary to be doing what I'm doing. Slave wages are privilege. You know what I'm saying? How old do you think these people are? You shouldn't live in a tent. Why not? Maybe not at 45. How much for some gay shit? None. No amount of money could make me do any gay shit. I'm sorry. One guy did offer to pay me $190 if I took my muck boots off and I wore my Tim boots untied. You're not a revolutionary, you're lazy and blame other people? What makes you think I'm lazy, man? Mexicans are the hardest. I stayed up for 2 days to go to this conference for 4 hours. Trying to find, and I went around looking for homeless camps. I went around searching for all the different, what it's like now, because I haven't been there in a few years. I went and talked to people. I'm lazy because I don't have a job. Okay. Where am I from? I'm from southern Vermont, but I don't live there anymore. Originally from my family's from New York City. You stayed up for 2 days because you're on drugs? No, I stayed up for 2 days because there wasn't a safe place to park. I would lay back in the car and I just couldn't sleep. It could also be the nicotine and the energy drinks, And I have this thing where if I have a big thing the next day, I get stressed and my brain just won't let me sleep. But I also think that might be the devil. It's probably a mix of all three. Are you inbred? Why are you so lazy? Well, I don't think I'm inbred. I think I'm probably the least inbred because my family was all travelers. Like African, Indigenous, and Irish. So it means that after the Emancipation Proclamation, my family was getting it down at the Jukes for a couple generations. It's only been 7 generations since we got here. LOL, the devil's in all of us. That's what I'm trying to tell you. African, yeah. I mean, we're all African to some extent, but I was told my father's side is African and Irish from my uncle. And even though my grandparents were both Irish, but my grandmother looked, if you look at pictures of noses, and you look at pictures of people's faces, and then I would just go Irish people, and I'd scroll for like 20 minutes. Romanian people, scroll for 20 minutes. And then I'd go different tribes like Cree, Mohawk, Seneca, Inuit, Crow, Absolute, Blackfoot, and I'd scroll. The closest I found to people that look like my mother are the Native Americans of New York. And the Crow. Like there are Crow people that look identical to us with darker skin. And I'm like, okay, they were Crow and Irish. And maybe that's why the Crows won't leave me alone. But my father's side, yeah, Irish and African, which is cool because the first family that moved in to our triplex when I was born, we had a triplex that they burned down. By the way, we had 40 cabins on 3 acres. Not 40, okay, let me see. 1, 2, 3. I always say 40 cabins. I mean to say a different number, but I ended up saying 40. Because I would do 40 cabins, 4-story barn. It wasn't 40 cabins. It was about 30, maybe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. About 20 because the cabins would be two main cabins and then there was space in between. It was like two doorways to two rooms, but they had room in the middle, so you could put three in there. So it would be roughly like 10 sections of 3 cabins. So I had 30 cabins, potentially, but they only had raccoons in them. We could have had 30 cabins right at a ski. We live a mile from one of the biggest ski resorts in the state that my dad used to be a ski instructor at. Cavalry used the crow to hunt other Indians before they fucked them over too. What's that got to do with me? I keep getting polar bear stuff. In my simulation, everyone gives me polar bear stuff, like polar bear card, polar bear necklace, polar bear stuffed animal. Someone gave me a polar bear sculpture, and nobody knows that my dad also is like, his RV's full of polar bear shit. And that I didn't know until I was 20, because I pulled up next to my dad's RV and we had the same polar bear stuffed animal. His was just much bigger on our dashboards. And I was like, that's weird. So I looked it up, and polar bears originated in Ireland. And my grandfather told my mom that his family line, one of them comes all the way from Inuit down, northern New York up, which comes all the way to Inuit, Cree, or the ancient Egyptians. The Crow and the Cree are the ancient Egyptians. Their culture is what's depicted in the hieroglyphs in Egypt. There's no other culture on earth that wears feathers on their hand or on their arms. The tight dresses, they're not thick in the butt, and they wear the jewelry the same way. They still practice it to this day. And that's what we are, I guess. But also my mom said that she's Irish and Romanian, which makes sense. That's why I have the blood type of the people of here, and I have that in the family line, but also Irish and some type of European. My great-grandfather was from Ireland, and he was in the war. We think he was the 33rd Mason because when cars were first invented, they say that they would pick up my great-grandfather and take him across the country for no reason. They said it was because he trained dogs and messenger pigeons in the war, and he was going to shows, and that's why my uncle is in the obedience club. But my dad, I'm a 33 life path, born in the 11th. My name means acacia, the tree of life, and I was born on such a specific day, like that my astrology, my numerology, and my name line up perfectly. I tested positive for savant syndrome. That's my only diagnosis. I don't even have CPTSD. I just tell people I do, because they tell me I should have it, but I would need to go to therapy for like 6 months. They would say the only diagnosis they think I have is some form of complex trauma. But they don't say schizophrenic. They say savant. They say I'm an overthinker that's spiritual. The craziest thing I've ever experienced, I talked to a group of natives, and they say, yeah, they teach us that when we're 7. Our grandmas tell us the same exact story you just told us, so there's truth to it. Yeah, they're just old. They're just old. I don't know, John. What's the longest you've ever spent out in the woods? By yourself, deep in the mountains. Cherokee, hello. Hello. I don't know what I am, but I've got the horse face. 2 weeks. That's not enough, man. It took me... I mean, to understand that the birds have jobs and that it's frequency based, and that when people overdose out in the woods, there creates like this dense energy of like sadness and dullness, and that the grackles will come up and go yeah, and they'll clear it up, and then they'll leave. Once it's cleared up, they leave, and then the other birds come in. It took me about 2 weeks to realize that the birds were doing something. They weren't just like mindless scavengers screaming at each other for sex and to get away from me. That they were specifically working with the forest to maintain harmony and balance. That took me about 2 weeks. I didn't have my first real spiritual experience until after like 3 or 4 months out there. So I would spend a year out there, come back, and tell me if you still feel like there's not more going on in a mycelial network. and there's a super intelligence. You know what I'm saying? If you can vape, you can work. Nobody said I couldn't work. I just don't have 2 forms of ID. The question is like, not do I want to work? Obviously, I have goals in my life. You know, nobody's even asked me if I want to work. They just bitch at me to work. They don't even ask if I have a job. They just assume I don't. The point is that I think it's a waste to pay to live in an electric box, unless you're having sex. And even then, I'm like, in Burlington, pretty much everyone hooks up in their car anyway. They don't pay for motel rooms. They drive out into the sticks and fuck. Even people that have apartments mainly are hooking up in cars out here. You need 2 forms of ID to work. By the way, sad seeing all these millions of people trying to spread hate. It's an addiction, man. And it's a specific race of people, man. It's a subculture from Jewish slaves. The Jews created a bunch of inbred yokel cave monkeys and sent them across the world like lemmings. They allowed them to rape their daughters and produce 17 kids at a time, and then they just sent them out and said, you are on the right team. These people are bad. Get them. And then the people there are like, I don't know. We were just hanging out. We were, hey, you know, singing with the birds, and all of a sudden these guys showed up and just shit everywhere. Fucking cut our trees down that we see like family, and then built a bunch of these like things that they hide inside. And they're obsessed with like hoarding resources. And we're like, why? They grow from the ground. What the fuck? And then they started killing us. And then we whooped their ass because they're trying to shoot these thunder guns at us, and the bullets fire this way and hit their friend, and then they freak out. And we just whoop them because we know the woods like the back of our hand. And then they asked us to sit down because we're like, they want peace. And then they gave us these blankets as like a peace offering. We're like, cool, we love blankets. And they fucking shit in the blankets, and now half of our guys are sick and dead. And now they're fucking building roads and shit, continuing to rape the planet. Like, what the fuck? Okay, they want to meet again. We've already beat them like 8 or 9 times now. You can look up these battles. We beat them 8 or 9 times, and they want to meet and have the Thanksgiving, which is a native term. Thanksgiving. They want to put on a Thanksgiving for us to show us they love the culture. And then somebody fired a shot off, and then you know, the people up the road, the people down the river showed up with like 500 people. 500 Indians showed up. And we're like, what the fuck is going on? I thought it was peace. And they're like, no, it's good, you can go. And then later, they got us sick again. They shit in the fucking pie, and they gave us the pie. They kept using biological warfare on us, and we got sick. And then they fucking came in and killed us at night and took our women, man. And we were like, bruh. The only way they got them was sneak attacks and biological warfare, and then lying about it to their people and saying, we got them, we beat them in battle. We finally got these red demons. It really was like, no, they spread a plague and they wiped out the people. That's literally what happened. Ask anybody that lives here. Yes, but even the colonizers, they're like, yeah, it's literally just in the museum. They just made up shit. They make shit up. It's a culture based on deception. So, of course, now that there's nobody left to hurt, what do? But they made a 2-party system where you guys bitch at each other all day. They alienate and attack anyone that lives an alternative lifestyle because of the perspective you might gain if you're outside of your box. And they literally worship a box. Look at the Star of David, that little cube inside it. Mecca, the box, the Christian cross folded up into a box. The black and white checkerboard patterns, and then you find out that goes to Saturn, where there's a hexagonal storm with a cube in the middle of it, like a box, and they worship Saturn, and they wear all this Saturn stuff. And then you find out that King James, the first law ever passed for the American country, was giving it to King James in the Satanist church and saying the Revolutionary War wasn't real. It was a stage to give people the illusion of freedom because they were maybe rioting about taxes. And now, look, the taxes didn't go away. We're paying like 200 times the amount of taxes with inflation. Yeah, and then you're like, okay, that might be crazy. They worship a black rock, and it's got like a shield around it of the ring of Saturn. That can't be true. And then you're like, wait, this company's owned by this company, owned by this company, and then the top of that pyramid scheme of the world's economy, the top of that pyramid, the all-seeing eye, is fucking called BlackRock and Vanguard, the ring of Saturn around that hexagonal cube. And you're, at the very least, you're like, what the fuck? And then you're like, oh, they believe it's the age of Pisces, that Jesus symbolized the age of Pisces, where the world will be separated by belief systems, and you're going to have wars for belief. So they were ahead of the game. They took away that knowledge from us about understanding how God's creation changes and different themes hit the planet based on planetary influence, even though the pyramids literally have the dimensions for the entire universe. From the pyramids, you can uncover the exact size and shape of the universe based on the location of the pyramids. But they tell you a bunch of retards built that? No. And then you're like, okay, but I definitely know what you mean. The pyramids on the dollar bill. And I do see that there's this flat plane with a triangle on the top and a bunch of pillars below it, but that's like flat earth, right? No, we have LiDAR, and we can see below the pyramid, and it's a giant pyramid shape with a bunch of pillars holding it up. It's the remnants of an ancient civilization that they haven't been telling us that they took the knowledge from, because if they told us, we wouldn't be their slaves. So they literally tell us all the time they see us as cattle, and they keep you brainwashed so that you keep fighting each other and going to work. You know what I'm saying? Stoic man, you've been talking shit for like 6 days now, man. Every single live stream, the entire live stream, bro. Cherokee here, we were the first to be faced with the Trail of Tears. My mama's people decided to go live in the wilderness away from others. The two parties are just an illusion of choice, lies, yeah. They would be an ancient Saturnian cult that believes in bloodlines and keeps their bloodlines pure, which means that they have to do blood transfusions to stop their inbreeding. And they're working slowly towards genetic modification because they feel like they have this ancient bloodline that they have to preserve because that's their connection to spirit and the entity that they all worship, or Capricorn. The thing I was saying about King James being the ruler of America, and that was the first law ever passed, when London decided to leave and become a free city because it wanted to separate from the Satanist church. And that's why when the royal family goes to London to do laws, they have to exchange hostages. You can't really look that up, because if you were to look up King James, usually it would be LeBron James being the goat or Capricorn. Instead of looking up King James and Capricorn, you find LeBron as the goat and he's doing the devil symbol. It's just an ancient religion, like Satanism, like Catholicism, like Judaism, whatever. But it's just at least a little bit older than the main religions. And they all, you know how all religions spawn in the same place. They were there and they made 3 separate ones. You can look it up. You can look up King James Satanist Church London laws, American Revolution. That's not true about the royal family. Yeah, the royal family has to exchange hostages in London because London is a free city. So when they go in to do laws, they would have to exchange things. I'm a Sagittarius sun in the 8th house, Taurus rising, Saturn in Taurus in the 1st house, which makes my Venus in Scorpio 7th, and Jupiter in Aries in 12th, Leo North Node, and Aquarius, Moon, Mars, Neptune, and Uranus in Aquarius 10th house. So Sag, Sun, Mercury, Pluto 8th house, Aquarius, Moon, Mars, Neptune, Uranus 10th house. So the Sagittarius in the 8th house is destroying the darkness. It's a tree that can't be cut down. My name Casey stems from acacia. It's the oldest name in existence. It's all the ancient texts. It's the tree that can't be cut down. Immortal, pure vitality, the essence of the human condition, perfection in connection with the heavens and the earth. And so is Sagittarius with Jupiter's influence. It's the connection between heavens and the earth. That's why they call it the man horse. Saturn in Taurus in 1st house just means I'm like a sturdy, but I have to grow from endurance. And Aquarius in the 10th house just means I'm exalted, disassociated, process everything logically. People would call me autistic or a sociopath. But then when you look at, I'm a 33 life path, born in the 11th. That's the divine child. That's the acacia. living in perfection, suffering so the world doesn't have to. Saturn in Taurus first house, and then born on the 11th is the receiver. You're not no Diddy, but you're literally like a node for all different gateways to higher dimensions to speak through you. That's why in Harry Potter you have to go through the KC station to meet Brian Dumbledore. And that's why 11 opened up the portal to the Upside Down. Elevens are the gateways. Famous gateways are Joe Rogan's a Leo 11. So he's the gateway to higher and lower dimensions, but he comes into fame because of his orbiters, and he slowly wakes up as he grows as a Leo. Aiden Ross is a Libra 11. Libra is the balance between two opposing forces. So Aiden Ross blew up because he was a gay guy. You know, he was acting gay and he was a Jew and he was talking to suburban kids and gangsters in the hood. Alex Jones is an Aquarius 11, so that's the rebel, the righteousness, the dreamer, the visionary. And he blew up because he's the rebel for InfoWars. And I'm a Sagittarius, so I'm the connection between the heavens and nature. And I'm an explorer. So look, I'm in a car and I'm traveling. Isn't that crazy? 11 Pisces. Pisces are the dreamers, like Ron Weasley, whatever. They would come into fruition. Being an 11 Pisces, you'd still be momentum based, but it would be more of a teaching role, more independent, less of a smackdown like the Sagittarius, more of the uplifting about something much better that could be out there. It's more about dreaming and transcending this earthly realm into something greater beyond. Sagittarius is the competent one. Pisces is completely separate from the world. Sagittarius is like, I got it. I'm Jupiter's influence, but you're not going to kill me and I'm going to get you all gone. Sagittarius is the smackdown. Pisces is the elevation of everyone, the school of fish behind you to the better tomorrow. That's why they depict Jesus as the Pisces. And that's why he has a little fish thing. And that's why the Pope wears the fish hat, because it's symbolizing the age of Pisces. And that ancient Saturnian cult, the Rothschilds, the DuPonts, the 100 elite families tasked with managing the entire world under that black rock, Saturnian whatever, that it's just a religion. They invented the three separate theisms, whatever you call them: Islam, Judaism, Christianity. And it's just a divide and conquer tactic to keep people angry at each other and fighting with each other instead of looking up at the pyramid. That's why they're like, slaves built the pyramid, and that's what they love to say, knowing that an ancient civilization more advanced than us built the pyramids, obviously. And as we get to a higher level of technology, we should have a higher level of democracy and morality, so we will be able to access what they left behind for us, or what's below the pyramids, where they have the checkerboard floor in their Masonic buildings, which is black and white 1111, the gateway to the other realms, hidden at the bottom of the pillars inside the temple. So whatever's at the bottom of the pyramid, they're saying that there's a spaceship down there. If you look at like what is LiDAR telling us, and they call it LiDAR, you never know, but they're saying there's obviously a craft down there of some kind. How do you relate with the Scorpio part? You have the capacity to go pretty far, but you should focus all this energy on something positive for yourself and live life to the fullest while we can. That's what I'm trying to do, man. I'm trying not to get so serious that I go psychotic in chasing my dreams, and I'm trying to make sure that I leave this place better than I found it before I go. Somebody said, how do you relate with the Scorpio part? The 8th house is Scorpio. Scorpio is the transformation from the scorpion into the phoenix. And then Sagittarius is the righteous momentum after you've found the phoenix, after you become the phoenix, after, wasn't the phoenix in the chamber of secrets, right? Or was it was in the one where they have the basilisk down there. So when they go down to the underworld, to the 8th house, where the devil is, the phoenix saves everybody. So Scorpio is that underworld. And usually people have the horrible childhood and they don't know how to get out of it. They become pessimistic, sad, very, very depressed people. But that's because the gift of that reality and how depressing it is because you're supposed to channel that and alchemize it into something. And that becomes your fuel for passion when you become the fire water. You know what I'm saying? 3131 Magic Mango says, to be honest, I'm a Sagittarius. You're 1133 coded, and also Magic Mango is 1313. and you're 3131. Did you know that M was the 13th letter when you made your handle 3131? So your initials would be 3131 1313, and you're a Sag, because Sages and Pisces are 1133 coded. It's Jupiter's influence. Why are you blowing me up, man? Leave me alone. Go get it, Marcus. What'd Marcus say? Mr. Chance Marcus? My dream is to go to a titty party. Hey, Southern Vermont, they got some. They call them cuddle parties. Let's just dirty ass fingernails. Yeah, it is what it is. I don't even know how they're dirty, man. Because I took a shower like 3 days ago. Somebody wanted to do a life path reading. I'll do a life path reading. 31281. 3 plus 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7, plus 9 is 16, plus 8 is 24, plus 1 is 25. You're a 7 life path, 3 energy in the modern day numerology, or you could say it's different with the other way, but God does both, to be honest. Like, but you would still be a 7, I think, either way. Basically you're a Pisces 3, so you do your day job. Basically how you deal with the world is focused on your dreaming of a better tomorrow, and you will have an emotional experience. You might experience homelessness or something sad consistently until you learn to stay in that realness, and then you will have this childlike nature with you, this creative, charismatic, kind of bubbly sort of, and the point is to, in your day-to-day, become more childish. People might say grow up a lot. You might feel like a really old soul, but the point is that you have this childishness to you that often the world will try to take. The 7 life path, usually from what I can tell, it's just more like an exercisable strength in autistic higher level of human thought. So you tend to stay outside of social norms. People call you kind of weird, but that becomes your skill, where in your lifetime you usually make some type of systematic change to the everyday human experience, or to like a company, or channeling your genius into something creative goes well for you. You might tend to be a maladaptive daydreamer with no separation between spirit and nature. It depends on or spirit and the physical. It just depends on what house that Pisces in, and where your moon is, and your Mercury is exactly how that spiritual thing is. But Pisces are really spiritual signs. They often can get trapped in their own dreams, where the dreams kind of, if they don't have someone to check them, those dreams can become their reality so quickly, and then it becomes hard to change. So learning that your ability is in your maladaptive daydreaming, and you do have a push towards creation, and that creation is at some type of higher level of systems. You probably really you like to think about things. And in your life path will be indicative of using your dreaming and your creative ability to sort of work inside a higher scope of human thinking, and people will often refer to you as a genius as long as you're healed and doing it right, as opposed to like a 9 life path, which they take it easy. They're like the first incarnation on Earth, and they're really just here to enjoy everything, and they tend to be kind of dumb because they're not experienced in Earth. They still think everything is amazing and beautiful and whatever. They don't have like this overarching feeling of like all their lifetimes, like Pisces and Sag have, and Capricorn. Note my sign is on Pluto, but Pluto is no longer a planet. Just because they don't recognize it as a planet doesn't mean that it doesn't have an electromagnetic influence on our everyday experience. You could get even deeper with the other stuff. Please tell me this is my last. Usually the last life paths are the 33s, and they're extremely difficult, and if you fail, you start over. Like Bo is Afraid is a good example of a 33 life path. The Ouroboros, the snake eating itself. That's why Loki had to keep going back and keep going back and keep going back with Casey and OB Ouroboros in the show Loki. He had to keep going back over and over and over and over and over again until he could defeat Casey or Kang the Conqueror and become the Tree of Life or the Acacia. And that's literally a show where Loki, the God of the Wild, Casey, and OB or Ouroboros or the 33, the Leviathan in the basement, get together and defeat Casey, Kang the Conqueror, and become the ruler of time or the Acacia. Any chance you're able to help me know what happened to my precious feline who got out of a small truck stop in a well, 1024, that's a 6. You're what, a Scorpio? Scorpio 6 7 6 7 8 17 23 24. You're a 6 man. You're a harmonizer. You're a home and family. Your whole point is that people look to you sort of precious, and people kind of, the natural state you emanate makes others feel better. Everyone lives in all this chaos and craziness, and you naturally embody some type of harmony that people find precious. People might covet you. They might treat you like some type of little precious little gem and fight over you. The only thing is that you're not like a Leo, where you're kind of in a stagnant location and everyone sort of revolves around you. You're a Scorpio, which means that your childhood sucked, your life sucks, you're constantly attacked and forced into feeling the worst depression of the human experience, and you're forced to revive yourself 1,000 times. The point with your revival is that you're reviving and perfecting that revival in order to embody something with your life that naturally makes others feel safer and feel able to come out of their shell and play their song. You're like holding a note, and your whole life is based around holding that harmony that keeps things in order. You don't have to manage them, but your primary directive is family. The primary, and so the Scorpio challenge is probably extreme loneliness. You're probably out there stuck, and the people that you love keep dying, or keep leaving, or keep turning on you, betraying you, because you can see right through them, and you don't understand why they're like that. And the way that you see it, you're creating something better, and it's not like a dream out there. It's like a passion as you go through your day to day, and you feel compelled to make a wave. Basically, you have this dream of like. It probably feels like you're in a parking lot and you're emanating this like watery emotional peace that took you a long time to get, and you can sort of feel how it's starting to change the waters, and people will start to gravitate towards your car, and people, as soon as you start to feel passionate, they'll start to feel jealous and they'll turn on you. Scorpios, any Scorpio placement needs complete loyalty and commitment, or else it doesn't work. They poison the waters and then nothing works. I don't know what happened to your cat. I'm trying to save a cat right now. I'm waiting on animal control to give me the go ahead. I've been waiting for 4 days to get this cat. I don't know. I don't know where this person's cat went. God, ancient texts, and no credible evidence. What do you mean? So which thing I said? You want to talk about how there was an ancient text with the book of Enoch and the book of, was it Jeremiah or was it Jacob? And they publicized one of those books and believe it fully, wholeheartedly, that book is real. And they didn't put the book of Enoch in there. They were like one chapter away from each other, and you strongly believe this one, you don't believe this one? The one that talks about how aliens came down and took our women and bred genetically modified organisms, which every other culture in the world has that creation myth about aliens coming down and creating genetically modified monkeys. And you just don't believe Enoch? You know what I'm saying? The one about the giants. And there being beings that are from a different planet, hundreds of times bigger than us, that came down to Earth. No problem. So no, nothing credible. Well, I mean, you can look up the, is it the Enuma Elish? Is it the Emerald Tablets? Is it Thoth's message? Like the stuff that ancient civilizations have left behind that we can carbon date, which is science. You can carbon date those things. And Thoth is talking about, like, I am a scientist from a long time before you will find this. And the whole point of the human experience is to lock yourself in a room and know thyself. And it was etched in with, like, this tool that we can't create right now to be completely indestructible. It's science better than we can do. And he left a thing that says the whole point of this realm, I'm transcending this realm. I'm from Atlantis and I'm leaving. I'm going to leave some things behind for you, but I'm gone. I'm a god. I became a god and I'm leaving this behind for somebody to find later, supposedly. And he's saying the whole point to find yourself and in this illusion of reality, in this video game that I've mastered after beating my own telomeres and living for long, like thousands and thousands of years, the best advice I can give you is to lock yourself in a dark room with no, you know, he didn't mention electricity, but it would be out there in the woods like I did, like being out in the tent in the darkness, and figure out I am and learn how to activate your spirit body. And then the world is your oyster, basically. You obviously don't understand quantum mechanics. And wormholes, like they're trying to teach us about in Stranger Things, where 11 opens up the gateway to a wormhole that allows for interdimensional travel. And how our everyday experience is literally, like our entire body is a bunch of quantum wormholes, tiny, that are constantly, through divine mathematics, interacting with many different dimensions all at once. And that we're in a simulation. Quantum physics proved it. Neil deGrasse Tyson passed out on the stage when the best minds on the planet went on stage and said, yeah, we found it. There is proof of a creator. We are in a simulation. And then Neil deGrasse Tyson, with his fat ass, was like, woo, with all his Freemason garb and putting up his hand signs. He was like, I can't believe it. And then he went, for the next 6 years, he went on podcast and said, no. Vapes and try to explain wormhole theory. Who gives a fuck? The creator is Jesus Christ? No. But the creator has the potential to be Jesus Christ. I'm not saying he wasn't, but I'm saying that when Jesus turned water into wine and he gave the wine to the servers and the servers brought it to the guy who ran the party, it says the guy who ran the party didn't know how Jesus turned water into wine, but the servants knew. He could have had some in the back room. He could have had some in his wagon with his buddies. And she's like, can you turn this into wine? He's like, sure, I'll turn it into wine. And then he hands the water off to his friend and takes the secret wine and was like, bring it to them. And the guy was like, usually I wait till, usually we don't have wine this good at the end. But maybe Jesus had a stash, you know? It doesn't say how he turned water. It doesn't say he used quantum physics to use his mind to will the molecules to change into wine and he transformed it. It just says Jesus was given water and then the servants gave the guy wine. And the servants knew how Jesus did it, but the guy didn't. So then at the end of the Jesus story, Jesus does something impossible, an impossible trick. His final act as a magician, which was he transcended death because they opened the tomb and he was gone. If Jesus was at least a prophet talking to God, he didn't have to turn water into wine. God could just tell him, yeah, they're going to put you on the cross. You know, I'm outside space and time, and you're trapped in time. So we know you're going to die on the cross. Tell your buddies, as soon as you go here, kill this guard, wear his uniform, string up a corpse on the cross, have them carry you into the tomb where another guy has dug a tunnel, and then you just go under the tunnel, which is like what every magician does, is they have a fake floor where they crawl out through and they leave, and then you're like, whoa, there's nobody here. I'm not saying Jesus wasn't God, but I'm saying he had a sense of humor. And he liked to show people that they're not in control of anything. I also don't think Jesus died at 33. I think his role as Jesus was over at 33. You don't give someone the gift of life. All you need him for is that magic trick. He could have gone to Ireland and had a wife and kids. Like the Bible says, there was Sophia, right? Didn't Jesus have a wife? Like the ancient texts about Jesus said he had a wife. He probably left and had a wife, but he didn't need to be Jesus anymore. God had given him that life to perfection the age of Pisces, to cement the belief system about wonder and show the world I'll probably be back, if not me, through somebody else, Christ consciousness, because I'm a Pisces and I can see. The only reason Jesus' birthday is on the 25th is because that's Baal's birthday. Capricorn. Their Satanist god, Baal, is born on the 25th. And what is Baal but this tree-like entity that you attach yourself to through your belief systems? So when you put a picture of your family tree on hanging like an ornament, you're believing that that's a portal to a gateway, that you've killed the life. It's a dead thing. It's death. And then you place your life on it, and your children place their hopes and dreams under it, their infinite manifestation about what they wish could come true, to the presence underneath it. And then Capricorn, Saturn hits, the truth, 666, discipline and pain hits you. And then they open their gift, and it's usually not what they expect. But you try your best. And then you're like, oh, Halloween was a Satanist thing. Thanksgiving was a Satanist thing, and it was a fuck you to the Native Americans about deception. They were bragging about how they tricked the natives into poisoning themselves because they couldn't beat them on the battlefield. Because their muskets, they couldn't load them in time, and they had too many arrows. And when they would shoot, it would fire over here. Yeah, I think the pyramids are the best piece of technology we have access to. It's a black box of information from an ancient society. And the pyramids tell us that the New Year is on August 8th, where Sirius lines up and the planet is refreshed with a huge wave of new energy that refreshes the whole planet in Leo season and changes the state of our hearts. Every year on August 8th, I'm given either a car, or I perform to a bunch of people, or I volunteer at the 33rd annual Celtic Fest, and I meet them on August 8th and stuff. I'm introduced to those people, or I get the idea. My New Year is usually August 8th, and my dad's born on August 10th. My vocal coach was August 8th, and she was an 8 life path. What about the kids that get what they expected, and they're happy? Well, I would assume the power would transfer back to the kids. So they have their hopes and dreams in the box, and then it comes true. So I'm assuming they're overwhelmed with joy, and the tree is just there. But usually if they're disappointed, their hopes and dreams are still through their belief systems attached to the tree. So there's an accidental transmutation as you are disappointed, where your frequency changes. And they believed back in the day they could probably invoke runes and demonic sigils and things like that, which would be a lower vibrational hum that would pull the electromagnetic energy away. And the reason that they have electric boxes like this is to keep you connected to those farming systems. But, I don't know anybody that's high up like that. I know people in tech that say in some supermarkets in Massachusetts, they installed for government people specific tools that would monitor brainwaves in grocery stores. And they had devices that they could change it at will. You ever go to a grocery store and all of a sudden everyone's like feral, and they're like stomping around and like kind of like just unusually dominant for some reason? It's because they feel like their ego is being checked or something. 5G was originally invented to quell rioters. People that would riot, they would put a 5G tower, and that would make them stop, unable to think anymore. Are you on a stakeout? I've been awake for 2 days. What grocery stores do you go to? The one in the closest city to me was it's a blue state, very wealthy people, and they were fucking psychos. I went through it the other day, and I was just on a mission, really happy. I think it was yesterday, maybe 2 days ago, and I was walking to the pizza, and then I feel like I'm really motivated. I'm in my Sagittarian element, I'm like a fireball, and I'm on a mission. I'm excited. And a fucking old woman fucking careens me, like she fucking turns and just full, almost like full jolt gets in my way and bumps into me. And I'm like, why? And people would, it was just the energy of the place. People were trapped for a long time. People are going crazy out there since 5G. And I'm out here, like, trust my opinion, I'm out here every day. I've seen the change from the front lines, out here every single day watching people. Not really like fully watching people, but like just documenting the same behavior every day, where I like feel this specific type of happiness and all of a sudden somebody's over there twitching. It's just like a normal person with their dog. And then I can feel them trying to pull it from me, and then I'll record it, and then I'll show you, I'm not going to let that happen today. And then you'll see them start coughing and stomping, and usually like within a week the cops are there. And I didn't do anything. I just literally was sat in the woods, and I could feel them pulling and getting angry and just standing there. And I'm like, that can't be a conscious. That can't be a conscious person doing that. It's got to be something else that I can't describe yet. It's just really funny that the theory that I got to was like some type of force using the impulses of the unconscious. And then what do we have but Conformity Gate on Stranger Things, where they have proof now that Vecna won and that he's doing exactly what I am talking about. He's in it, the mind flayers and everybody. Well, when the age of Pisces ends, we won't need to believe that Jesus was the gateway to God. We'll know what the truth is when we hit Aquarius. But Jesus was essential because it guided our belief systems to perfection. You had to believe in Jesus in order to work in the age of Pisces. But he said, I'll come back with the revelations of the high frequency of the fifth dimension. Each town has different 5G effects. Their food in stores in those small towns. I can say their mind control is so real. Yeah, but it's some people say it's the dead. It's like the subconscious of the underworld. And because we're not tuned to be aware of it, because we've been institutionalized and stuck in boxes, we can't fully understand it. But yeah, people are guided by impulses, and those impulses tend to be destructive to a certain peace of mind that you find when you live like Jesus. There tends to be people that act exactly how they describe the enemy. I think it's probably parasites that guide your nervous system. Am I sober? Yeah. You don't need Neuralink to control us. True, because we have brain waves and we're water, which we operate by frequency. We move our water through electronic signals, and our emotions fill up that water, which is why when you're dehydrated, you don't feel anything. And when you're really hydrated, that's the water element. And you can change the shape of water. That's why they made the movie The Shape of Water. You can change the structure of snow just by talking to it with the intentions. And if you put love into your tone, or if you put hate into your tone, it changes the emotional charge you give off, changes the state of the water around you. So obviously they can produce mass haters like these inbred lemming yokel cave monkeys that just believe everything their Facebook feed tells them, and they get mad at who to get mad at, and they don't question it. They just support whatever they're supposed to support. They don't think about it at all. They just keep projecting this dark thing that destroys the water around everything. Oh, it's very judgmental. Well, it's the truth, man. The Jewish people have said that for 7 generations at least, they have been raising white people as cattle, brainwashing them in institutions, destroying their connection to spirit, harvesting all their innocence and youth through sexual ritual at prom, in high school, and then once they're drained and empty, they put them into college, which is a Freemasonic institution, to completely destroy them. And once they are embedded and trapped through narrative energy and contracts, they fulfill their role as a node in their system, and they work until they die. And part of that means the degradation of self and empathy, and the loss of innocence and youth means that you can't connect back to Christ or nature unless you completely dismantle yourself out in the woods for as long as it takes. And then you can start to come back to understanding that the path to true enlightenment is the way of spiritual childhood, or the divine child, whatever, Christ consciousness. And then once you have that Christ consciousness, you can start to wake up and be more in your body and know thyself and understand that I am is the way. Not Jesus is the way. I am the way. I am equals the way is what he was saying. Just like Thoth said. That the first step to mastering being on earth is to lock yourself in a dark room and do I am until you understand, until you know thyself. You hate yourself so much. There's something you got to accept. I'm hearing the Serenity Prayer, which my mom put on my wall when I was young. Which is, Lord, give me the strength to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. You just write down all the things you hate about yourself. You look at what you can change. Like for me, I changed my diet. I still vape, but I quit cigarettes. I slowly gave up on other people's opinions of me. I was hurt that they left me to die as a child, and I was homeless as a child, and I hated them so much for it, and it made me hate myself. Eventually, I learned to realize that I was pretty cool and I was in the wrong environment, and the people that I was trying to impress weren't shit. And then I used to rampage, and I'd go hit the gym, and I would do bodybuilding and work 3 jobs and make music all day and try to be the best at everything. And eventually I learned to just be, and then I learned how to just sit and enjoy the guitar. And now the songs I make are so much better because I stopped running and chasing something, and I just accepted where I was and got over the things I had no control over. And then I just started doing things I wanted to do, and eventually I grew through experience to really value myself. You know, maybe it's your environment that's making you hate yourself and your daily habits. It's not you. Like, one of the biggest things I learned in homelessness was the destruction of my ego. Like, eventually I learned that the self that I thought I hated wasn't even me. I was looking through myself at a created version of myself that I hated. And then eventually when that all dissolved and I was who I always was, you can't hate that because it's impossible to hate that. You literally can't hate that. If you even started to hate that, it wouldn't work. You would just create a version to hate. It wouldn't be you. You'd be watching you hate yourself. I think it's impossible to hate yourself, but it is possible to not love yourself because you're distracting yourself. Usually when I find myself, I always have this urge. Like there's something that as soon as I find myself, there's something I want to do, which usually is immediately start imagining a song. That's called your soul urge. Like when you find yourself and there's something you need, whether that's work out or paint or call a friend, that soul urge of something that feels way more bright and way better than all this other stuff. The more you put into that, it seems to just destroy everything, but it takes bravery. Like one time, how I beat that was I went to Old Orchard Beach and I walked up to everyone and just said whatever I wanted to say. Whatever I wanted to say, I said, even if it was embarrassing. And what happened was the first thing I wanted to do after that, the first urge when I was my true self is calling my horrible abusive ex-girlfriend and saying, I'm not even mad at you. I forgive you for what you did. I understand where you came from. And she was like, are you calling me just to say that you're doing, she thought I was bragging because I was so excited about where my life was at. And then it was like everything changed. And I realized that urge made me realize that the things I hated about myself wasn't even me. It was the projection of what I thought about myself based on how she treated me. So that was the perfect thing to do. It identified where the self-hate was coming from. It wasn't me, it was programmed into me. I was still a child, just with no opinion of self and just acting on impulse what I wanted to do. At some point, somebody said something that changed how I thought about myself, but it wasn't me. It was a change in your belief system about yourself, but it had nothing to do with what was inside. So if you don't have that, the best way to find yourself, I think, is to just let it all go in the woods for as long as it takes. And if, just be there. And eventually you'll start to operate purely on what you want to do. Because there's nothing else. Like I wanted, eventually being out there in the woods long enough, All I wanted to do was just sit there. And then I wanted to get up and go on a walk. And then I wanted to go to the grocery store. And then I wanted to go sit by the river. And I would just do that. And then none of the self-hatred even hit me. I didn't even think about it anymore because I was just doing what I wanted to do. It was like other people's perceptions and expectations of me that were like guiding me and my need to. I hated myself because I felt I wasn't good enough for something that I always had, basically. Hopefully that helps. Is that the thing that, like, if you wished you were better, what if all the things you hated about yourself changed? And usually people find out that none of that made a difference. You're like, oh, I wouldn't hate myself if I was buff. And I'm like, no, you'd feel the same way. If you just imagine yourself buff, you'll still feel the same way. So then you recognize it has nothing to do with it, and then you want to get buff for a different reason. And then you usually go through with it because that self-hatred breeds self-sabotage. I'm going to clip that. Would you call this self-sabotage? Probably. But I'm not binge eating. Usually when this is gone, I'm binge eating, and I really hate myself because of that. But that's fear of being okay with myself. That's fear of being... But to deep dive, that fear stems from when I was awake and alert and I was myself, and I was traumatized because of it. Like, people would get angry at me and would hurt me as a child when I was fully myself. I used to be... Like, I know my voice is high-pitched. It's not really high-pitched, but it's not like... You know, usually there's like a focus that comes from the sacral chakra. And overthinking and stuff kills that. Constantly worried about what other people think of you kills your lower chakras. And I didn't have that as a kid. And then I slowly grew into being forced to walk on eggshells because I had to get my needs met. And I would be in positions where I'm extremely vulnerable and at the whim of people that can kill me, and I'm alone as a homeless child. That's what kind of got to this, is inside I'm always feeling like at any minute, if I start to operate a certain way, on a certain frequency, people will just attack me because it's just been happening so long. So that's the fear. And I think I was binge eating because I like to hide in myself. I think I like to escape. I liked being in the suffering more than on the trail. So that's what the addiction really is. With this, it's different, I think. Look, I definitely don't get anything from this. Not even like a... I do get like a focus. But it just feels clogged. Originally I liked it because the anxiety would help me persevere, and I'd go kind of crazy with the anxious, and then I would put the music on and I would fight through it, and that felt like sort of like beating back my traumas, kind of like I was fighting them off, literally. And I liked being in the fight, kind of like probably trauma from being attacked and being in a vulnerable place. I liked the fear that I would feel from this, and then I would be driving and making songs, and every time I made it better music, it would be like I was killing it and overcoming it. Now it's just, it is what it is, which is why I have all these vapes. Because usually when I overload myself like this, where I puff the vape whenever I feel like it for a few days, I don't want to do it anymore. When I'm in that scarcity, I like the chase. So if I don't have the cigarettes, I like going and hunting for the cigarettes and getting them. When I have just this bunch of vapes, I no longer get the craving anymore, and I start to chase other things, like going to get money opportunities and stuff. Not to justify, I'm just trying to explain why I do it, honestly. I bet you would make a killing if we made vapes that hit like vapes and they looked like vapes and they had just a little bit of chemicals, not bad, not like all of these, but it hit sort of similar and it hit the same way, but it wasn't nicotine, it was oxygen. Instead of those big oxygen containers that you huff, little tiny oxygen containers. Fuck, those would go hard. All right, we got to go back. He said at 4 o'clock show up. It's 4:40. The plan was to come back here and sleep so that I could wake up early in the morning and do the ice. And then that guy said to come back at 4, so I was like, fuck it, we'll eat the burritos and live stream. And then I ended up checking in with Capstone and talking about making a program and getting government grants, and she gave me a bunch of phone numbers for people that I should talk to about ending the homeless crisis, because I'm tired of it. I want one foot in the game, man. I want my piece of land, but she said it would probably be 3 years before I'd even get close to land if I go through government programs. But if I go through the church, they already have land. And a similar thing, it kind of sucks that the one person I thought was kind of in our corner, he flipped out on somebody the other day in like a road rage thing. Somebody cut him off and he lost it. And he's a vet from like he's old too, so we don't know what war. I think he said Desert Storm. But you know, he had a lot of bad things happen in his life. So I'm sure the government, which has a hand in sex trafficking, was not too keen on ending the sex trafficking because it's one of the biggest industries in the state. They're not trying to end sex and drugs. They're making money off it. That's why there's no solution to the homeless crisis. And they just lock them in a box to perpetually siphon resources from the government. Because it's filling a lot of people's pockets. I could end the homeless crisis in 2 years with $5 million. But the government pumped $500 million into a motel program that didn't work. Because it wasn't about the homeless people at all. It never is. I sat there for 2 hours and I didn't hear a single person talk about homeless people at all. They did, the only thing that they mentioned is that if they lose their funding, 25 households will be on the street. And I'm like, 25 households, you say? How much room do you think they would take up living in campers on 1,000 acres? 25 sets of income for rent? And then they could own that land, live in a camper, and build rooms onto it. And then they spend their days, if they can't work, they can go shovel the shit at the horse stalls. They could learn to ride horses, and then we can go build a bunch of horse trails. And do guided tours. Or at the very least, become completely self-sustainable. Okay, let's see if he's here. Yo. Am I too late? All right. Okay. I saw you put 3. There's 2 bays. Oh, 3. Okay, I see you. My fault. Mamushka babushka. Why is Chloe from Chandler sending me an image? Okay, well it looks like they've coordinated and they understand I was at a conference. I don't know why she's sending me an image that I probably sent to Eric.
You said it's like 10 pounds once a week, right?
It was. I filled it up.
The first.
Like probably the. I mean, today's the 8th, right? I filled it up yesterday at 22. I think it was like between 3 and 5 days before that. You gotta move. You got another shovel somewhere?
I don't.
Yeah. I should get one of mine. I should have one in the car.
Well, I'm almost done at this point. As far as actually, I'm thinking I might be done breaking the ice tonight.
Yeah. I have to start.
Left front.
Yep. Yeah. Can I ask you? I asked Carl too. You think there's any way this was natural?
Huh?
You think there's any way this was natural or somebody swiped it? That showed up today, this morning. And I sleep in the back. I got to go respond to my text messages, so I'm gonna get off. Appreciate you.